From an evolutionary perspective, you are a vehicle. A beautifully complex, emotionally sophisticated vehicle for your genes. Your parents, having invested half their genetic material in you, have a vested interest in your survival. But here's the complication. You probably have siblings. Each sibling is an equally valuable, competing vehicle. In 1974, biologist Robert Trivers defined this as parent-offspring conflict. He argued that while a parent is genetically inclined to distribute resources equally among offspring, each individual offspring is genetically programmed to want more for itself. This isn't malice, it's math. Your survival is 100% valuable to you, but only 50% valuable to your parents' total genetic legacy if you have a sibling. This ancient biological tension required a psychological interface, a software to run on our primate hardware. We call it attachment. John Bowlby's work in the 1950s revealed that a child's primary strategy for survival is to form a profound emotional bond with a caregiver. This bond creates what he called a secure base. It's a psychological home port from which a child can explore the world, knowing they have a safe place to return to. But securing that base isn't a passive process. Crying, smiling, clinging, these are all finely tuned tools designed to capture and maintain the most critical resource of all, parental attention. The quality of that attachment in infancy becomes a lifelong template, an internal working model for how relationships are supposed to function. So what happens when multiple children are running this Secure the Base program simultaneously on the same parental server? They can't all use the same strategy. This leads to what Frank Sulloway termed niche partitioning. Siblings, especially those close in age, actively differentiate themselves to minimize direct competition. Think of it like Darwin's finches on the Galapagos. To avoid competing for the same seeds, different species evolved different beak shapes. Siblings do this with personality. The firstborn often adopts the parental proxy niche, conservative, responsible. The later-born, finding that role taken, is pressured to be more open to experience, more rebellious, questioning authority, to carve out their own unique channel of parental investment. This isn't just a behavioral strategy. It's perceived and processed deep within the brain. The sensitivity to fairness is not a high-level cognitive function, it's primal. Studies on perceived parental differential treatment show that even subtle signs of favoritism can have lasting impacts. The brain is a relentless accountant of social transactions. It keeps an unconscious tally. Who got more praise? Who received more support during a crisis? This isn't about remembering every instance. It's about the emotional residue that accumulates over decades, shaping self-esteem and sibling dynamics. That feeling that a sibling is the favorite can persist with the same emotional sting at age 45 as it did at age 5, because the underlying neural circuit that detects social inequity doesn't just turn off. Graduating into adulthood doesn't end the competition. It just changes the currency. The resource is no longer who gets to ride shotgun or who gets the last cookie. It's about who gets the emergency phone call, whose life choices are more praised at holiday dinners, who receives unsolicited financial help, or who the parents choose to live near in retirement. Each of these instances is a data point, feeding back into that lifelong internal model of one's standing within the family system. Adult siblings might consciously deny any rivalry, and they may genuinely love each other. But beneath the surface, the deep-seated programming to monitor and secure parental investment continues to run, often outside of conscious awareness. This simmering dynamic often erupts when parents enter old age. The competition intensifies because the stakes are raised to their absolute peak. Suddenly, the resource is not just attention, but caregiving responsibility, a massive expenditure of time, money, and emotional energy. Who does more? Who is perceived as doing more? The old scorecard is brought out and re-examined under the harsh light of parental decline. Old resentments about who was the responsible one versus the carefree one resurface with startling ferocity. This period acts as a crucible, forcing the implicit competition that defined the relationship for decades into the explicit, high-stakes world of life and death decisions. And then comes the final accounting: inheritance. It's rarely just about the money. The distribution of assets is the last and most permanent statement of parental investment. It's a quantifiable legacy, a final word on who was valued and how much. An unequal distribution can be interpreted as the ultimate confirmation of a lifetime of perceived favoritism. Even a perfectly equal distribution can trigger conflict, as siblings argue that their differential contributions, especially in caregiving, were not adequately recognized. The fight over a sentimental object, like a grandfather clock or a set of dishes, is never about the object itself. It's about what it symbolizes: the final, tangible piece of a finite resource, parental recognition, for which you have been quietly competing your entire life. Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.